G'day, this is Travis here. This is a video that hopefully some of you window cleaners who like to have use a pump sprayer or hooked up to your belt or a trolley system, you might be interested in this mod. What it is a Wagtail high flyer with just a trigger assembly from a pump sprayer cut into the handle, but with one of these white pads attached to it instead of the high flyer pad. What I originally intended this for was for doing balustrade glass around pools. It's any of you who do domestic window cleaning, who do pool glass, know how difficult it is to get it clean a lot of the times. And these pads, which just attach to the high flyer, are absolutely brilliant, but they don't hold much water at all. So what this does, where I've got it hooked up, just hold on to that and I'll show the system, is just a 1.5 litre pressure sprayer. We'll just give it a little pump. That's hooked onto the belt. Now you notice this coiled tubing here. Have you got that on? Right. This coiled tubing is absolutely fantastic. Just pop that aside for a sec, we'll show that in a minute. It's what it's from is an air blowgun. That's J-Flex, I think it is. Now, I've got here probably about a metre and a half when it's stretched out, but you can see how it coils up. Absolutely brilliant, so you don't have wires hanging down by your feet and possibly tripping up over them. And then it's just attached. This is 8mm. It's the same diameter tubing as what your regular pole tubing is. So with a couple of quick connects, and then you might have to rig up a system to whatever kind of trigger assembly you decide to go for. Now the beauty, why I've done this, and this is just a prototype, so I'm putting the video out there because I know that there are people who will be able to do a far better job than what I can at rigging something up. But what I like about this system, you just show on the glass, is it gives, can you see that spray? Is that coming out on here? It gives excellent spray. This is a quarter circle irrigation sprayer, spray nozzle, and I've siliconed that in to the 8mm tubing, which goes into this particular brand of spray trigger assembly. And these pads are absolutely brilliant in terms of how well they scrub. You can use it on houses that haven't been cleaned for a long time, and it will just bring the glass up so nice. And it just is so good, this the way this is set up, for me anyway, with the amount of water that it puts out, sprays out. Now the beauty of what I've tried to do with it is, you can see these windows have hardly any frames to go off. See, it's probably about a millimetre thick, but when you dog-eared your high flyer, it can get into all the edges nice. Now the beauty of this system is, I'll just show you some of the other modifications that can come with it. Let's just let some air out. If you want to have something a little bigger to use, this is a 16-inch Slipstream. Now I've just put on just a little homemade job that I've rigged up. I will be doing better strips, glide strips, but these seem to be about the right thickness. They come with a little sponge strip already, if you're familiar with the new Slipstreams, which is good, but it wears out after a while. And this is a good alternative if you've got some old pads that are reasonably thick. The old thick green pads, they tend to be able to give good contact with the glass. Good contact with the glass, so it becomes a one-pass tool. But what I was finding is that the way they come with the pad clipped on with the plastic clips, closing out on deep frames was an issue. So some 3M dual lock on this side, a homemade pad with a Velcro tab, the soft Velcro to go onto the dual lock, and it becomes really nice to then it flicks very nicely, but it doesn't get in the way of you closing out as well. So I've chosen the worst window to demonstrate this on, but as you can see, even on these these windows that have got such tiny frames, so you have to be very accurate with them. The Slipstream goes in beautifully. Now, this is a second way that you can get water, make it a water-fed squeegee. This is what's called a flow control. You can buy them on eBay. Just get in there, and it operates by twisting on and off. Runs with this particular one, which a friend gave me. Had a 6mm tubing, and so the irrigation sprayer, quarter circle sprayer, screws right into it, which is nice. Now I've cut a hole into my wagtail, the length of it, but this, where it's situated here, it doesn't get in the way of deep ledges. So you could almost fabricate this up so that it's completely inside and all that's sticking out is the nozzle. That's for underneath use, but it also can be turned around to have the flow control switch coming through here. So you can then, is that coming up? So you can turn it with your fingers. I just found that it's nicer to use it this way. Now, I'll just show it in action. Let me just pop that over there. And let's just pump it up. Now you can see as you're turning it, hopefully, is that coming up? The more you turn it, the more flow you get. So it becomes quite, depending on how much you turn it out, quite a good flow. So you can adjust that to what you want, and then it's just twisting of your fingers as you go along to get that down to go off. Now, depending on how much you actually have it pumped up in your little water canister, is how much it'll come out. So if you want a lot of flow, you turn it. If you don't want much, or zero, it's just simple operation with your finger and thumb. Again, this is really, really handy for when you've got lots of big glass to do. It keeps this pad really nicely hydrated. And the added benefit too is this lasts 1.5 litres, will last me probably close to an hour, depending on how dirty the glass is, of course. But it keeps the bottom pad really well hydrated too, so when you just need to doing outside glass of shop fronts and things like that, this is a very nice system. And this was the prototype, so I've cut bigger holes than what I needed to, just to see how it would fit in. But it can, just to show you, it's not fixed in place yet. Let's just turn that around. It can actually go with, which looks a little bit neater, but I'm not sure if it works quite as well. It's a little bit harder to operate with your fingers on top, but can you see, is that coming through? You can see it's possible even having it with the flow control switch mounted top. So there are a few different options. Now I'm sure Marcus and maybe at Wagman, if you haven't seen his channel, he's got a great channel for Wagtail modifications. Herman too, I'm sure they'll come up if they choose to with a better system than even this, which I'll benefit because then I'll copy their system. But this might just get a few ideas going for window cleaners who don't like using buckets anymore and like using this system with a pump sprayer. And this fits in nicely just over the belt. And as I said, it's coiled. I can cut, I need to cut this down a little bit. I'll probably cut it to about there and plug it in. It's just I don't want to quite cut this hose yet until I've got the final calculations done. But it just is a really nice system. It brings the glass up really well, and the final modification that you can do is this one here, because it came with a an air gun having quick connect. So where'd that quick connect go from down here? Ah, there it is. Good girl. Right, let's just swap this over quickly. This is the gun that it came with. I cut down the length of where the sprayer goes into, and then it is great that if you don't want to do all of these things and you just want to have, say, using it as an unmodified wagtail, high fly or whatever, you can use this as a sprayer that just sits in on your tool belt, wherever you like to put it, in here or wherever, and then it just get some pressure going through. You can use it rather than having a squeeze bottle. It gets it as wet as you need it. And it just hooks back into your, sits in nicely there or wherever you want to use it. If you want to squirt the window again, you can. And so if you don't feel like modifying your tools that much, you want to keep them pretty standard, that's a good option as well. So there's three ways it can be used. Let's just make sure I push that in so I don't get much pressure. You can use it as a spray gun. This is a really good trigger actually. I actually had this originally in this handle, and it sat in like that on the inside. It wasn't bad, it's just that this trigger was just a little bit too deep, and so if you had deep frames, it was you can see the difference there between them, how much it sticks out. Well, I could cut it, but it's a good little trigger. Just if you want to clean some frames, you want to spray it down, whatever. Just because it's all on quick connects, you can quickly change out. And then you got it back again as a squeegee, as a high flyer, waterfed high flyer. So there's some just a couple of ideas that hopefully the rest of you window cleaners who are into modifying your squeegees will run with and improve, and be interested to see what you'll come up with. Alright, we'll close it off there.